So as this Mother's Day weekend comes to a close, I had a couple thoughts that I wanted to make sure that I shared with you guys before it got too late. So this message is inspired by a wonderful message I heard today in church this morning given by my pastor Jenny, and her talking about Mary and Jesus and the humanity of Mary as she raised Jesus and what it was like to possibly change his diapers and teach him how to walk, teach him how to use the restroom, enroll him in his first day of school, and all those things that come with being a mother and raising your child, your first child, her firstborn, and what that was like for her. And as she was preaching, I started thinking kind of on another trail. Sorry, Pastor Jen, but my mind kind of started going a different direction. And I started thinking about what it would have been like for Mary to watch Jesus be sacrificed on that cross, her firstborn son, how she had to watch him be tortured and bruised and ridiculed and accused of things that he didn't do, all because he had a calling on his life, a calling that God had placed on him before the foundations of the earth, to die for us, to die for all of humanity, to die for the people that put him there on the cross, and how hard that must have been for her as a mother. And I also thought about the story of Abraham and Sarah, how Sarah waited and waited for so many years to be able to finally have a son. And she finally has her first son, Isaac, and then God tells Abraham to sacrifice him, and how Abraham took him up to the mountain and was going to sacrifice him when God provided the ram in the bush. And I was just thinking, what would Sarah have said if she knew that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac? And how would she have felt? You know, her son that she believed and prayed for and sought God after. You know, she went through so much heartache waiting for that first son to be born. And then God calls him to be sacrificed. And so I started thinking about our children and how sometimes God places a call on their life, a call so great, so much bigger than us or the world around us, that as mothers, we have to sacrificially let go of those children and give them back to God. And sometimes that means letting go of your own hopes for them, the vision you had in store for them. Sometimes it means sitting back and letting them go through some things that are difficult to watch, painful to watch, but because we know that God loves them more than we do, and that it's going to serve a destiny and a purpose for them, that God will never leave them nor forsake them. He won't fail them. His love will never fail. And that no matter what they're going through, no matter what happens, that God has a plan and a purpose for it to make it all work out for their good. And so I just thought about that as mothers, how hard it must be to sometimes sacrifice your children to the Lord and for that calling, and how you have to take a step back and just trust that God has the best intentions for them, and that everything that they're going through is for his purpose. I know some of you are raising missionaries, and how scary it must be for you to watch your children go into Africa and Southeast Asia and, you know, all these different areas where Christianity is not accepted, Christianity is not okay, and people could be killed for their beliefs. And how you have these children who are going into these mission-filled areas risking their lives, or you mothers who have children that are in the military and they're risking their lives for our country and our freedoms, and how you have to just sit back and trust that God's going to keep them safe and protect them. And I know it's hard, and I just want to encourage you that their purpose, their calling is for a greater good, and that Jesus may ask you to let go, sacrificially let go, and trust that he has them in his hand, and that everything works together for their good. He hears your prayers. He sees your tears. He knows your heart. And just like he loved his own mother, Mary, and how he gave her the strength to allow Jesus to fulfill his calling on earth, and just how he loved Abraham and Sarah and allowed them to sacrifice Isaac or potentially sacrifice Isaac for a greater calling and a greater good, to prove to themselves that God could always come first. Just know that God has you in his hand as well, and that your child has a great calling, a great purpose. And through your faith and your strength and the stand that you're taking, God will be able to use your child to impact the world mightily. So stay strong, be of good courage, walk in faith, and we can do this together. God has our back. Happy Mother's Day.